I think that as painful as the economy is going to be, there's a very good chance when we're looking at these charts in these smaller time frames, as well as the sentiment, that there's more of a story for a bullish narrative right now. And I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at here on the Bitcoin chart that gives me at least a good sense that we're going to be short-term bullish.
Hey, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin, joined with technical analyst Tim Warren, host of Coffee and Crypto, streaming every single day on the cryptocurrency market on YouTube. Thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely. We have been on panel shows before. I've loved your perspective from a technical point of view, which is why I want to have you on today. But also, we used to have your colleague on, Crypto Jeb, used to be all part of the same channel, Crypto Jeb channel, but you somehow took that over in full and booted him, or what is your background and how'd you take over the Crypto Jeb empire?
Yeah, booted him. That'd be fun. No, Jeb he's recovering right now, and I'll go into that. I met Jeb a couple of years ago. This is back when I was doing stuff in ministry. I was doing stuff with personal training. I trained a lot of athletes, and he actually approached me after we became friends. He said, "Hey, will you train me?" And that's where our friendship kind of went. He hired me knowing nothing about crypto. He hired me because he knew I knew how to lead people, and he needed a president, someone to run the day-to-day operations. And I'm the type of person who, when I'm in on something, I go all in, or I'm not in at all. I'm like, if I'm going to be working at a cryptocurrency company, why don't I go ahead and learn some of this stuff? He had convinced me earlier in our relationship to invest in crypto. And even though I didn't know at the time, when I invested my first $5,000, I trusted him. And from that moment, I was like, all right, let me go ahead and learn. If I'm going to be investing a good amount of money in this, let me actually try to find out what's going on here. So I don't know if anyone from your channel is an OG on the Crypto Jeb channel. When I first joined the show and came on and co-hosted with him, my name was non-Crypto Tim, because of how terrible I was at giving any thoughts. I was kind of just there to bounce kind of concepts off of Jeb, help him interact with chat. But I began the journey of learning technical analysis because Jeb had created a great course called CT2A, and I actually got to help him make it even better by building Club DeFi. I then learned about, paying attention to the news, starting to see trends, starting to pick up on the opinions. In college, I loved microeconomics. I took it as an elective. So applying some of that knowledge into logical thinking, that's what really got me interested in learning crypto in the first place. But anyone who's wondering, was Tim like some guru trader before, and that's why Jeb trusted him? Nope, that's not it at all. In fact, I probably am the last person, when you just look at my resume, that you think would be leading a cryptocurrency channel. I think, though, that what I am is a testament to crypto is so cool and such an innovative new area of life that anyone who wants to be good at it and anyone who wants to succeed is capable of doing so. I'm walking proof of that. And Jeb, when he needed to step away, he asked me, "Tim, can you take on the mantle for me? You've been doing great. You've been learning a lot. I trust you. Continue on." I said, "All right, let's do it. Let's do it." So here I am.
I love it. And by the way, your story is incredibly relatable in cryptocurrency. Everybody started from ground zero, and it's because there's such a new technology, and it's how much value you could provide, which you obviously do on your channel, and how much time you are willing to spend into it, people in general. And, those are the people that I like to watch now because I relate to them the most as well. I'm not sure the details on Crypto Jeb, but is he ever coming back, or would he start a new channel, or what's the...
Yeah. There's a lot of people asking that question. We don't know the answer, honestly, and Jeb doesn't know the answer. His reasons for stepping away, there's a couple of them. Even the last couple of months he was here, I think people kind of see his health was starting to decline. I don't know if people knew. Jeb, in a period of a couple of months, due to a lot of health concerns that we think were delayed from pandemic and stuff, he lost 50 pounds, and he really didn't have 50 pounds to lose. So his health was going down. He was newly married, and of course, that's an added pressure on life. So just a combination of health, concerns with family, and also he'd been praying through it a lot and seeing what does God have for him next. And he felt that at least for this season, he's called away. People are asking, is he coming back? At this point, indefinitely, we don't think so, but who knows down the road what's going to happen with him. It's not that he's given up on crypto. It's not that he hates it. It's that he just feels like there's bigger things he needs to do. And the first and foremost thing is he has to focus on getting back to being healthy, because what is it if you gain $1 billion in crypto but lose your health? I'm really excited for him. He gets a season to rest. He grinded for a long time there by himself, but then he built a great company. He surrounded himself with people like me and T. Shroom and Smay, and we're able to just pick up that mantle and keep going even without him.
Yeah. And, thoughts obviously with Crypto Jeb, if you're watching, man, Hope you're doing well as much as you can be. Tim, let's talk about Bitcoin. I hope you have some charts to show us. This is being released immediately. So give me your just thoughts and general expectations for Bitcoin in the short term.
Yeah, before I go to the charts, it's very confusing. I've actually been a little bullish here now for a couple of weeks, and it really started when the sentiment in Bitcoin was super, super sour, and yet the price was not dipping. I've been kind of going back and forth. Are we going to see a lower price? Are we going to see us drop below 17,600? And that potential is absolutely there. And I'm prepared for it. I have a plan put in place that if we were to go down as far as $9,000, I'm ready. I got some dry powder there to take it. But I'm not convinced yet that we have to. And especially when you're starting to look at things like the stock market, when you're looking at the S&P 500 and you're seeing it set new lows for this year, but Bitcoin not do so, you got to start to ask the question, are we potentially kind of bottoming out? And there's just so many strong, firm holders in the space right now that there's just not a whole lot of Bitcoin left to be liquidated. Again, is it possible? Absolutely. But let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at here on the Bitcoin chart that gives me at least a good sense that we're going to be short-term bullish, if not longer-term bullish as well. So starting right here, there is a bearish indicator that I am very aware of, and I've told all of my audience, keep your eyes on what's happening here, and that is a descending triangle where the resistance level, this red line right here, is descending, where we have a flat zone of support. So anytime you see this flat zone of support with a descending level of resistance, this means that every single time the bears push us down to these levels, the bulls can fight it off and prevent a lower price action, but then their push keeps getting weaker and weaker every single time. So right now, currently, we are right below the red line once again. It is going to be very important for Bitcoin to push through. Otherwise, we're continuing to mount that strength that bears could actually end up pushing us down to new lows. What gives me some bullish outlook on the smaller time frames, I'm going to go to the 4-hourly chart, and that is this ascending triangle that we have been in now ever since back here in earlier mid-September. But this is the exact opposite of that descending triangle, where instead of having a flat bottom, we actually are hitting our heads on a flat top, and our support levels are increasing. And when you give this a projection, when you actually, using technical analysis, you predict this by taking the opening gap, and that's, if I use my tool right here and go to the bottom of this first wick up to these original ones and extrapolate this over to the breakout point, this right now is calling for a Bitcoin price upwards of $22,000, almost $600, but at the moment, $22,589. This would be really cool, because it would give us a brand new option of breaking through this resistance level. It also would match a previous high that we had back here in earlier September. And this would cancel out a consistent downtrend we've been in for the last couple of months, where we are setting lower highs every single time. Now, yes, we're kind of bottoming out. We're flattening out on our bottoms and setting the exact same bottom, but we need to kind of break this trend where we set a higher high, and that will give a little more confidence to the space. The other reason, not even from a technical standpoint, but adding in sentimental input to my charts right here, we're faced with a very interesting situation that's going to be very painful for people across the globe if the Fed actually decides to back off the interest rate hikes and begin to soften again. But they're going to be kind of in a place where they have to make a hard decision. Do we keep attacking inflation, and instead of actually fixing our planet a problem, we create more problems, because the more the dollar gets more powerful, if we go over the Dixie, the more that this chart begins to climb and other currencies begin to fall, we actually start to have the potential of shutting down global trade, in which case we're not talking about pain in the economy where everything gets expensive. We're talking about a situation where there's not even access to any of these goods. That is not something Jerome Powell wants to do. So he's going to have to make a decision here. I think that as painful as the economy is going to be, there's a very good chance when we're looking at these charts in these smaller time frames, as well as the sentiment, that there's more of a story for a bullish narrative right now to maybe get back up and recapture 25,000 than there's a case for over the next couple of weeks and months to break this 17.6. The last thing that I'm seeing on the charts that I definitely want people to point out and be able to notice, I talked about this a little bit on Ben's channel on one of the Around the Blockchains, but every single bottom we've ever had in Bitcoin has had a daily bullish RSI divergence, and not just a normal one, because there's different levels of this, but a strong bullish RSI divergence. And what that is, if I can explain that a little better to your audience, is by looking at these candle body closes. One of the things that we look for is what's happening with this RSI, this relative strength index. And a divergence is when the RSI and the price action are going in two different directions. Well, if I'm looking at this bottom price action right here, back that we had that big dip back in June, We actually, as much as the wick came down here at 76, we closed the candle body up above 20,000. So if I start right there and move over to the lowest candle body close we have that we had back here on September 22nd, we see that these price actions have technically been dipping. Did we touch that bottom wick? No, but the daily close ended up getting lower. In that same timeline, the RSI bottoms actually are moving the opposite direction and increasing. This is what we call this strong bullish RSI divergence. And my point is, the reason I'm bringing this up is if you actually were to go back and look in history, every single bottom of every single bear market have been touched with bullish RSI divergence as well. Look at right here. I'm going to spread out. This is the bottom of our market back in 2018, where the bottom of the RSI did not match the bottom of price, but in fact, just like what we're seeing right there, the price action of the RSI was moving up. In the same timeline, the price of Bitcoin was moving down. And I could keep showing you guys, going back to every single bear market. Man, my chart can't grab my tool right there. I can show you back at every bottom of bear market and prove you the exact same thing. I have a video I made on that a couple of months ago, but that's another thing that I'm looking at right now in the current situation of saying, does this have to be the bottom? Not necessarily, but we finally got that daily bullish RSI divergence that we have been waiting for months now. And that's one more encouraging sign that potentially the bottom on Bitcoin is in. So right now, Austin, that's all I have on the charts to show you guys what I'm looking at. Obviously, we can see the price get even lower, but for right now, their bullish action is actually taking a lot more of a lead than the bearish action, in my opinion.
So to sum up what you just said, you're thinking a bullish price rally in Bitcoin up until the Fed meeting, essentially, maybe 22,600, maybe 25,000 if we break that first one.
Yeah, well, so there's going to be a lot of pressure up into that rally, but there's a big question in my mind. What is Jerome Powell going to do? If he can stay aggressive with 75 basis points, then maybe you have an argument for us to come back down into that zone of support. If he gives us any type of narrative, though, because that's what's really crucial. It's not even just the number he says, it's the speech he gives afterwards about what the future is going to look like. If he stays hawkish, that's the precipice, that's the catalyst that could really give us a new drop to the downside. But if he shows any signs of leveling off, if we see a 50 basis point rate hike or lower, if we see him say we are aware that we're not really in the place we want to be with the economy, but when we're looking at what's happening in Europe and in Asia, and we're seeing other banks start to go a little bit more conservative and dovish and begin to print money again, we can't let the US dollar get out of control. And if that's the narrative he kind of leads us to believe he's going to go down, this would speak massive bullish action, not only in crypto, but in equities as well, because the dollar is going to start losing value, and it'll give those institutional investors, those whale investors, the confidence to go back to assets like Bitcoin.
The Fed is in complete control, like they've been all year.
Yep.
Final question, Tim.
Yeah.
For the average audience member out there that's thinking right now, buy Bitcoin or wait. What do you tell them? There's 11K was thrown out here for so long, but what if they miss the boat? What if this is the bottom? Truly, nobody knows. But how do you think about that?
There's something that we say all the time to our audience. We say when institutions and whales miss the boat, they bring the boat back. When the retail investor misses the boat, it just sucks to suck. And there's always going to be that question, is this the bottom? Or is that the bottom? Or is that going to be the bottom? And the more you live in a state of fear and you don't jump on opportunities and you wait for perfection, the less of a chance you're actually going to end up getting the buying places that you really want. And that's another thing we tell our audience is, hey, you need to eliminate the word perfect buying opportunity and perfect selling opportunity from your vocabulary. What you're looking for is good. That does not mean prepare for lower prices, but right now in the grand scheme of things, a $20,000 Bitcoin, a $19,000 Bitcoin, dare I say, even all the way up to $30,000 Bitcoin, that is a great buying opportunity, a good buying opportunity that you should be DCAing the whole way through. And if we go down to 15, or if we go down to 11, or if we go down to 9, that's a better opportunity, but that does not mean that this was not a good one. And in the grand scheme of things, we should not be looking at our purchases and saying, what is the value of my Bitcoin the day after I purchase it? The real question is, how many Satoshis can I get into my account long term? Because there will be a day where even if I can only own one Bitcoin, that will put me more than likely into the top 1% of wealth in the entire world. So right now, I'm not concerned about perfect. I'm concerned about good. And these are good places to be buying.
We are going to do a companion interview now just about altcoins, specific ones that seem to be doing very well right now. That's going to be released within the same hour. But Tim, thank you so much for joining me. Links for your stuff are down below. Final thoughts for the Altcoin Daily Army.
Final thoughts is continue to hold faith. Do not FUD out of this space right now. Don't FOMO in just yet either. I am a very, very big believer in continuing to DCA and look for good buying opportunities. Do not fall for any traps. Make sure you're always looking at and doing your research to find out where the best opportunities are to take profit and where the best opportunities are to buy. And if you continue to invest in your education, even if you miss out on some opportunities, long-term, that's gonna be the difference between you being successful and you feeling like you failed your entire journey.